Hi folks, David here at Mojo, and in this video I'm going to cover major changes coming Thursday to the Mojo data platform. But before I begin, our thoughts are with everyone who's been affected by COVID-19. And we look forward to the day life and business resume as normal. So to begin, let's head over to the data and dialer area. The changes we'll be discussing today involve our data set and how the neighborhood search and skip tracer service interact with it. First, I'll cover the changes to our data set. This is a big change, and it adds a ton of value to both the neighborhood search and skip tracer for real estate agents and investors alike. Specifically, those real estate agents looking to use skip tracer for their expired appends in MLSs without service coverage by our expired service, and those investors looking for affordable data for finding distressed properties and other investment opportunities in their local farm. So what's a change? Well, we partnered with America's top property data provider to replace our existing data set with high-quality, accurate tax and deed data that is updated monthly for the highest accuracy. This is going to add a ton of new information to your searches and increase the accuracy of our contact information significantly. All right. So now let's take a look at how we've changed both the neighborhood search and the skip tracer, and we're going to start off with the skip tracer. So let me go ahead and select the list that I want to skip trace. We can see here, it doesn't have any names, doesn't have any phone numbers, any co-owners. I've got a property address, I've got a mailing address, all very important, and I've got complete zip codes. So I'm going to go ahead and click Skip Tracer. And the first thing we're going to notice is if you've used Skip Tracer before, we've designed a new user interface for the entire process. We've simplified the workflow, and we've added a new validation step to let you know up front how many of your addresses are incorrectly formatted so that you don't get any errors at the end of the process like you do currently in production. So I'm going to go ahead and choose Batch Lookup. And again, we're sitting here on the validation step where it's going to tell us how well our addresses are formatted. So I've got 10,149 records in this list. I've got 13 with incomplete addresses or zip codes, and I've got, that means what's left over is 10,136 to skip. So I'm going to go ahead and click Continue. The next options here are, do we want to append federal do not call numbers? I'm going to leave that unchecked, and ignore previously searched records. This is great. It's something we added several months ago, but basically if you've got one inclusive list that you keep importing data into, you can now choose ignore previously searched records so you're not wasting valuable time re-skipping all of the properties you skipped previously. So this first step of the actual process is going to be searching the tax records. And this may take a moment because there's 10,149 records or so, a little less. All right, so the tax records process is just about finished. And what we're doing right now is we're taking your addresses, we're looking at the tax data for that area, and we're appending all of those records with great tax and deed info. And now we're taking the opportunity to search the proprietary files that we have to append those records with contact information. Now we're finalizing the data merging. And now we've got our output. Lets us know that it's finished. So now that that's finished, we can go ahead and open up a record and show you another change that you're going to find on the contact forms for both your skip tracing data and neighborhood search data that you pull down. So let's go ahead and open somebody up here. And specifically, I'm going to bring your attention to the property tab we see here at the bottom. So we have a property tab. It shows the owners that are notated on the deed information. We've got a John, we've got a Brian here. It lets us know the occupancy, whether it's owner occupied or absentee owner. We've got tax values, tax amounts, tax years. You get the idea. On the right hand side, let's bring your attention over here. We've also got length of ownership data, sold date, sold amount, mortgage value, and mortgage company, as well as a loan to value. Now, of course, we're very dependent on what the tax offices across the country are uploading to our provider, but we give you everything that you're going to get from any other provider out there right here in the property form. It's very cool, and it should give you a bird's eye view to what kind of property you're calling on, what kind of opportunity exists. We've also made some changes to the notes. You can see here that we let you know that we found the owner information, and then we also go out and do our due diligence to find any additional contacts that may be in that household, and we put that here in the note. And of course we have for anything that we found, we're always going to have a property's details added note. And we can see here that we've appended the phones and we've appended email. And that's going to wrap up our changes to the skip tracer. One last thing I'd like to add, unlike the majority of our competitors, this is unlimited for your monthly fee. There are no caps on how much data you can skip trace. So we're really excited to be adding a ton of value to both our real estate agents out there and our real estate investors. Next, let's take a look at the neighborhood search. And before I click on the neighborhood search, I want to point out that, again, we now interface it with the nation's largest and most comprehensive tax and deed data source. And there's a lot of changes with the neighborhood search that I'm about to show you. So we're going to go ahead and click on the neighborhood search button. And I'm going to expand this a little bit. And there you have it. That's the new user interface for the neighborhood search. We've designed it completely from the ground up. This user interface allows you to review properties on the map. You can zoom in, you can click on individual properties and see the available tax and deed data, as well as any contact information we have on your property. Let's check it out. So I'm going to go ahead and just put in our hometown here in Littleton, New Hampshire. All right. So that's going to zoom in. And what I can do, if I want to see the individual properties, I can actually click on display property pins on a map. And then I can go ahead and I can click on any of these pins. I can drill in further to separate the pins more. I can drill down in the map, and then I can click on one of these icons here, and it will show me who the owners are of record, the addresses, both the mailing and property address, the status of the property, its occupancy, whether it's owner or absentee owner. You get the idea. It's a lot of the same information that I just showed you here on the skip tracing output. The next major change is we've added a new search mode. So currently, you've got freeform plotting that you guys use. You've also got the street search. Something that was often requested was for us to bring back the radius search, and we did that. So let's take a look. I'm going to go ahead and click on radius plotting, and I'm going to place my pin. And now what we can do is we can grab any of the white circular icons on the outside of that radius, and we can begin to drag it out. And as we drag it out, the map is going to relocate so that you always have a bird's eye view of the area you're pulling down. And we can see here down at the bottom, as I roll out here, or I should say expand here in rural Littleton, New Hampshire, we can see that as I go out, more and more contacts are found for me to bring into Mojo and start prospecting on. We've also added a ton of new filters to slice and dice your searches with. Here are some examples. Let's focus at the left-hand pane. You can now choose only absentee owners. You can even slice it down to only out-of-state absentee owners. We've got only vacant properties, only homes owned free and clear. And you can see as I select these, the total contacts found at the bottom here changes. So only absentee owners is 55 in this area in Littleton. Only vacant properties is only 2. Free and clear, there are 31. You can also choose length of ownership, and our ranges are 0 to 5 years, 6 to 9, and 10 plus. And there's also some really powerful additional filters, such as property type. You can choose single family, condo, or multi-unit. And with multi-unit, there's a drop down. You can choose all. You can go after those duplexes or triplexes or quadplexes from 2 to 4 units, or you can go 5 plus units. And the results are going to change as you make those selections. You can also choose how many bedrooms you want to search for, how many bathrooms, the square feet of the living space of the home. And lastly, you can choose loan to value. So right now I've got about 239 contacts in my view. So I'm just going to go ahead real quick, and I'm going to click on import. And it lets me know that my do not call status right now is scrubbed. I'm going to click I understand. And now I simply give it a list name. I could also choose from a list of existing lists that I have in the system. And to do that, I just click here on calling lists, and I can place a check in the radio button to select the list I want it to go into. And now all I have to do is click Finish Import. It lets me know I've successfully imported 78 contacts, and I can either go back to the map to perform some more searches, or I can go back to my data so I can take a look at the list that I built. Lastly, we're releasing this earlier than we had anticipated because we see how this new data can create unique opportunities in the coming months with the filters that we've provided in the way that you can drill down into perhaps find distressed properties. Because of this, the current data in the neighborhood search only includes properties we have phone information for. This results in the same volume of available data as the current neighborhood search. However, Stage 2 will be coming soon, which will give you full coverage, just like the Skip Tracer does, and new tools for easily creating mailing campaigns. We look forward to receiving your feedback on these new changes, and we're excited to keep improving our system so you guys can be as successful as possible. Until next time, be safe, healthy, and prosperous.